Welcome to Hey Beautiful Creative, the podcast designed to inspire and empower creative entrepreneurs just like you. Whether you're a full-time artist or crafter, a side hustler, or someone dreaming of starting your own creative business, this show is your new best friend, here to support and encourage you on your journey in creative entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Tori Nguyen. With over 2 decades of experience selling my handmade goods online, to boutiques, and at markets, I've been where you are and I'm here to help you grow. My best friend and I also own 2 retail stores and organize large craft markets, which gives me a unique perspective on combining creativity with effective business strategies from both sides of the table. Each week we'll dive into practical business and marketing tips, inspiring artist interviews, and the motivation you need to take your creative dreams and make them your reality. Whether you're looking to boost your confidence, refine your business skills, or take actionable steps toward your goals, this podcast will leave you energized and ready to chase your dreams. Hey, beautiful creative! Welcome to our very first podcast episode. I'm super excited to be starting this journey with you, and I really appreciate you being here. I have big hopes and big dreams for this podcast, and I hope you'll follow along and join me as we explore the ins and outs of creative entrepreneurship together. Today, I really want to talk about feeling stuck and how to move past that. Maybe you're wanting to start a business, but you're so overwhelmed you don't know what to focus on first. Maybe you have ideas for launching a new product, but you're holding yourself back for some reason. I know my creative business began over 2 decades ago, but I'm just now starting this new business and this podcast. And so all of those feelings that you might be feeling are also very fresh for me. And I think we've got a lot that we can explore together. And before we dive into all of that, I thought it would be fun if I tell you my story of how I got started as a creative entrepreneur. I was at a St. Patrick's Day party a couple of years after I'd graduated from college. I had a job at the time, but I was still trying to find a path that I really wanted to follow in life. And so I'm at this party and I only know the 2 people who are hosting. Now, I'm a fairly shy introvert, so I remember sitting at a table by myself. There were a couple people around me, and I don't really remember if anyone was talking at that point. But I noticed that the woman standing in front of me was wearing a faux fur cuff bracelet. To give you a bit of context, this was around the year 2002, if that helps you place the fashion. And I thought the bracelet was really cool, so I decided to try and break the ice by complimenting her on it. And the conversation went something like this. Me, I like your bracelet. Her, thanks, my brother made it. He's a designer in LA. And that, my friend, was the moment when my life changed completely. This 2-sentence exchange with a stranger, it was like the world opened up for me, and I had the sudden realization that I could make something just like that. I didn't know how to sew, but it truly felt like divine inspiration. Imagine the sound of the angels and a light coming down from the heavens. And you know that didn't actually happen, but I want to impart to you that I felt so struck suddenly by this idea that I could do something like that. So as I sat there at that St. Patrick's Day party, my new business started to take shape. I decided I wanted to learn how to sew, and I wanted to start making purses and sell them. And that's exactly what I did. The following month for my birthday, I asked my family for a sewing machine. My grandparents got me a nice beginner's model that I still have, and my grandma and my mom both came up and gave me a crash course in sewing. The internet was still very young at this point, and there weren't all of the how-to resources that you can find today. So I checked out books about handbags from the library for inspiration. I started making my own patterns out of paper bags. Still to this day, I cannot follow an actual sewing pattern, but I figured it out. I wanted to build a website, so I took a course on HTML and I built my first website from scratch. I wrote all the code by hand. I will tell you, it was very purple. In doing that, I joined a growing community of DIYers, people building their own businesses online and at the indie craft markets that were popping up across the country. Looking back, it was a really exciting time that felt so full of possibility, and I feel really honored to have been a part of it. I started approaching boutiques and asking them if they would be interested in carrying my purses. I held trunk shows, I kept a live journal, I started an email list, and did all the things a new creative business person might do to get the word out about what they're making in the early 2000s. I also started applying to craft markets and street fairs. Just so you know, I was rejected from the very first fair I ever applied to, and I would love to do a whole episode on handling rejection really soon because it's definitely a part of putting yourself out there. And that was not the last fair I was ever rejected from. It's just a part of life and a part of doing creative business. So we will explore that in further detail very soon. My biggest excitement at that time, though, was that I was a vendor at the very first ever Renegade Craft Fair in Chicago, which was such an honor. That was the first craft fair I ever sold at, and it involved traveling across the country with all of my goods and my display and taking a big chance on whether or not that would pay off financially. Big thanks to my friend Megan, who came along with me and helped me set up and run my booth, and we had a really great trip. We had so much fun. In going there, I also got to meet some of my online crafty friends in person for the very first time, and it was really fun and so memorable to get to come together. They were my friends from LiveJournal, and some of them I still keep up with to this day, like over 20 years later. My dream was to make my purse business a full-time thing. I know that a lot of you might be listening and you are creative on the side and you want to take it full-time. And that's amazing, and it's really fun to work for yourself full-time. It definitely has pluses and minuses, and I want to do an episode about that as well, because I tried making my purses full-time for a while, and I pretty quickly realized that I'm someone who does better with a more structured schedule instead of having all day, every day free. So I switched to being a creative side hustler instead of a full-time maker. For me, if I know that I only have 2 hours in the morning to get something done, I'm so much more likely to get it all done than if I have the whole day to do it. And I want to point that out because I think it's important that you create and structure your business in whatever way feels best and works best for you. It's just as legitimate if you're doing it on the side as it is if you're working 80 plus hours a week on it, which I really hope you're not. That's too much working. But I think you're here because you want to enjoy your life and you want to enjoy your creative work to the fullest. So give yourself permission to structure that in whatever way is best for you. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing or any expectations you may have put on yourself because of our culture. It's also okay to change your mind and to change course. Somewhere along the way, I got really tired of sewing alone in my basement, and it felt like the amount of time it took me to make a purse didn't directly translate into the amount of money that I felt I could charge for one. So I floundered for a while, trying to figure out what I wanted to make, and I eventually landed on jewelry. I've always loved jewelry, and I had taken some jewelry making classes in the past, so it felt like a natural next step. And I still have my jewelry business now. Selling jewelry has helped me supplement my income and support myself. It's still a side hustle, and I don't have any intention of making it my full-time thing. I find it kind of hard on my body to sit in the way that I need to sit to make things. So I'm happy to keep it as a side hustle, but it does really help me supplement my income. I'm divorced, I'm a mom, and I'm the only adult in my household. So when my daughter was younger, I loved the flexibility of being able to make jewelry while she was asleep or at school. I also had a big dream to buy a house. And once I sat down to look at how I could increase my jewelry sales, I was able to double them year over year over year until I'd saved enough for a down payment. And I would love to teach you how I did that sometime. In doing so, I learned a lot about cultivating relationships with customers, about strategic pricing strategies, and most importantly, that I was capable of attaining big dreams and goals. Now, there's a second half of my story that involves my best friend who became my longtime business partner and still remains my best friend over 20 years later. I cannot wait to tell you more about that next week, so be sure to check back for the second half of my story. Now, let's talk about how all of this relates to you. If you're just starting your creative business, or if you're thinking of starting one, I want you to remember that I am feeling all the feels right along with you. Hey Beautiful Creative is a new project and a new business for me, so the process of starting something new and the feelings that go along with that are very fresh. I've definitely been wrestling with some major imposter syndrome. This is a business that I wanted to start over 10 years ago. Life got in the way. I definitely got in my own way. I even wanted to launch it about 4 months earlier this year. I've stumbled, I've stopped, I've started, I've restarted, but here I am. I'm still doing it. I'm doing it. So if you're struggling to begin or to make a change in your business, I want you to remember that all of the feelings that might be holding you back are totally normal. We all have doubts and fears, but we can work through them. And I am excited to do an episode about imposter syndrome, so be sure to check back for that later. You may be wondering, is anyone going to buy my work? Or maybe you're feeling a lack of confidence about really putting yourself out there. It's scary, I know. But think about what will happen if you don't put your work out into the world. If you don't give your creative business the real chance to be everything it could be. You might look back someday with regret that you didn't really go for it. And we never know who will see or be inspired by what we're putting out into the world and how that inspiration will ripple outward with the butterfly effect. When you share your creative work, it gives other people permission that they may be needing to share more of themselves with the world as well. It's like lighting someone else's torch in the darkness, and that is definitely something we need more and more of in this world. Here's something else that I want you to keep in mind, which is also something that I'm still learning and constantly reminding myself of. So I'm basically just giving myself a pep talk here. When you put something out into the world one time, and it doesn't get the response you had hoped for, that doesn't mean it's never going to work or that you're not good at what you're doing. Sure, it may need to be tweaked or refined, or maybe it just didn't get in front of the right audience at the right time. But the important thing is to keep trying. Keep putting your work out there. The people who we see and believe to be successful, I'm saying that in air quotes, which I know you can't see, but I'm air quoting because success means different things to each of us. Those people are showing up consistently day after day and putting themselves out there. If something doesn't go the way you wanted, maybe you launched a new product and it flopped, maybe you applied to be in an art show and your work wasn't accepted, whatever it is, feel your disappointment, but don't beat yourself up about it. In these instances, my brain tells me things like, well, it's because you're not smart enough, or your work sucks, or you're not good enough, things along those lines. Our brains can be so mean to us. In those moments when I catch my brain talking to me like that, I try to shift my perspective to what I would say to a friend if they were experiencing the feelings that I'm feeling. And I can tell you the output is a lot more kind that way. Instead of going down a negative thought spiral, try to get curious about what you might do differently next time, if anything, or how that product or your messaging or your art submission could be improved. And then try again. If you keep showing up and you keep learning along the way, I truly believe that you have the capacity to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. As a creative person, I imagine you have a lot of ideas, and sometimes that can lead to overwhelm about where to start. One thing that helps me move forward when I'm stuck or overwhelmed is that I write down all the things I'm thinking of that I want or need to do. I'm a huge fan of making lists. So I write it all down, I do a big brain dump, and I get it out of my head. That helps alleviate some of the overwhelm and chaos that's going on inside my mind. Then I look at the list. I take a deep breath if reading the list makes me feel overwhelmed all over again. And I pick something small to start with, or something that can be broken down into multiple small steps. Then I just dive in and I do that one thing. And you can do this even if you only have 15 minutes of free time each day. It can be something as quick as buying the domain name that you want, or researching and choosing a web hosting platform, or outlining what you want to say in your next or first newsletter. All of those small actions will add up to progress over time. If you're feeling good about things after getting that one thing checked off your list and you want to do more, then go for it. Pick another thing from your list. You'll start to gain momentum as you check these things off. But the important part is starting. You've got to start with that one first thing. Online marketing expert Amy Porterfield says, "Action creates clarity." And I totally agree. In the doing, you will learn, and you may learn that you want to do something differently and choose to redo it, but you won't know that until you actually do the thing. And it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to change course, but just pick one thing and start. Get that forward moving momentum, because as you're staying stuck, as you're holding yourself back, you're missing out on the opportunities to learn and to grow by taking that action. I can tell you from experience that it feels really good to take steps forward toward your goals. And believe me, some days my steps are so teeny tiny that they wouldn't even count as baby steps. They're more of a shuffle. But I'm still here scooting one foot ever so slightly forward, and that helps build confidence and momentum. And as Amy says, clarity. So keep shuffling forward toward your dreams, beautiful creative. I know you can do it, and we're going to do it together. What I want you to take away from this episode is that if you're feeling stuck in your business or overwhelmed trying to get started, I want you to write down all the things you can think of that you need to do, choose one small task, and start there. And if you're still feeling stuck or afraid to start, take my Creative Confidence Kickstart 5-day challenge. You'll get mindset shifts and actionable steps delivered straight to your inbox to break through the fear, the imposter syndrome, and to combat perfectionism one small bit at a time. And the best part, it's completely free. So head over to heybeautifulcreative.com or click the link in the show description to start making progress toward your dreams and goals. I would love to hear from you. Message me on Instagram. I'm at heybeautifulcreative, and tell me what you're working on for your business this week. What's the one thing you're going to do first? How do you get yourself unstuck? How do you tackle overwhelm? Reach out and let me know. I would be honored to receive a message from you. If you enjoyed this episode or found it helpful, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would write a review, share it on your socials, or forward it to a friend. Be sure to subscribe or follow the show wherever you listen to your podcasts so you don't miss out on upcoming episodes. And check out heybeautifulcreative.com for more resources designed to help you take your creative dreams and turn them into your reality. Thank you for being here. See you next week.